Hey everyone, here's a review of the VAUXHALL Grandland X, or the Opel Grandland X if you're in Europe, which this vehicle is because I'm happy to be in Finland at the moment. I've been driving this car for about 5 days, so it's a rental vehicle, so I thought I'd do a quick review on my thoughts and opinions on this car. So here's the front. And has some daylight running lights that go across here, which look pretty good. It's got some fog lights at the bottom. And if you unlock the car, the key fob here, press and lock, the door mirrors automatically unfold. So this is a 4-door vehicle with the tinted windows at the back. And here's a view of the back. It's got some reverse parking sensors as well. And this particular model is the turbo model, which has got the 1.2 litre engine in. So I'll just open the boot. So you can see inside it's got quite a large capacity boot, although there is a lip here, load lip, so you need to be aware of that. It's quite a deep load lip. I say it's at least at 10-15 centimetres ish, that size. It's got some tethering points at the back. It's also got a 12-volt socket and some little extra storage bins on this side as well. You can't actually put the seats back by the boot, so you have to go in through the back seats. And the other thing you'll notice is the rear view window is incredibly small, and this is a problem when you are parking. This car doesn't have a parking it's got parking sensors, it doesn't have a parking camera, so it can be a bit tricky when parking. I'll just show you the interior. So some speakers on the doors, some little door bins, and then you've got these rear seats with the adjustable headrests, and this is the button to press to release the back seats. You press that, the back seat swings back, and what this is good is that it's completely flat, which is pretty good. There is another lip here, so you couldn't push something straight from the back, you'd have to lift it over this lip, but that does increase the storage capacity quite some bit. So also there isn't any center section that can be released, so if you're carrying skis you have to put the entire seat down, or one of the seats down anyway. There is no center armrest, but there is this, obviously, the center seat, and there's a lot of space in here, so it's nice for the rear passengers, lots of leg room, and also there is no gearbox column in the middle, so you've got completely flat space where you could again put something to store, or the center person sitting in the center has plenty of space for the feet. There's also some vents as well. So that is the rear. I'll just go into the front. So inside the car, sorry, this has obviously been used, I've been driving this quite a bit, so there's lots of food items in here, but it's got this kind of grey and silver interior, standard velour seats, which are actually pretty comfortable, very good for long journeys. They're adjustable as well, the height. We've got some controls for the mirrors and for the windows at the front and rear. Just step inside the car. So inside we've got this main screen for all the sort of entertainment, climate control and all the settings, and then we've got steering wheel here, quite a sporty looking steering wheel, nice and comfortable with some indentations for your hands, and we've got controls here for the cruise control, and we've got controls here for the audio and for the hands-free kit connection as well, which is Bluetooth. And we've also got some manual controls here for the climate, so it's not all done by the touchscreen, you can use the manual controls as well. and it's the main touchscreen also has some hard buttons as well that you can use. So in the centre you've got, this is obviously the automatic model, and we also have a little storage area here with a 12-volt socket, and I've currently got a USB audio stick connected in the USB port. Glove box, it's pretty big actually, quite a lot of space in there, goes quite far back. Storage bins, not very big to be honest. You can get some small bottles like we've got in there, but you'd struggle to get a large bottle in there. And in the centre console we've got again 2 storage areas, one for a small bottle there but nothing bigger than that, and a small storage area there, just put my sunglasses in there. And then the armrest does open and you've got a storage area in there for a large bottle. One thing I would say with this armrest is that I'm not very tall, so I do like to have my arm resting on the armrest, and actually I guess it doesn't really matter if you're tall or short, but this armrest isn't adjustable, so you can't move it forwards and you can't adjust the height, which means that you can't really use this armrest when you're driving. So I found that quite uncomfortable, that I couldn't rest my arm as I like to rest my arm when I'm driving. I will switch the car around so you can see what the dash looks like. So got a standard flip key on this one. I'm just going to hold the brake down to start the car. And if I just turn the steering wheel so you can see the dash. So dash itself, pretty straightforward. You've got your fuelometer, well, your fuel anyway, got your mileage. Switch the music off. And you have also got obviously standard speed and petrol gauge. And what you also see on this little centre column here in the middle is it seems to detect the speed of the area that you're driving around. It seems to read the speed sign. So I think that's to do with some sort of automatic cruise control function that takes place here that I think can adjust your speed automatically, but I'm not entirely sure, so that might be something to look into. But I don't have the manual to read into that anymore. So, but there does seem to be some sort of option to do that. So main controls on the audio here. Again, this is all touchscreen. You can press the home button to go back to the main screen, and then from here you can change or adjust anything you so wish. So if I click on climate, I can then increase the temperature or decrease the temperature on the passenger and driver's side. I can then also turn this down 1 second, so I can adjust the different settings here. I can also, from here, I can just simply switch it, turn it all the way off. So you can adjust it both ways, by either using the controls up there or by using the manual controls down there. And that's quite helpful when you're driving, rather than having to look at the screen. You can just touch the manual controls. But what's nice about this screen, it's not very reflective, so it's easy to read when you are driving. So let me go through some of the good points on this car. It's got very, very good visibility at the front, and I like the driving position because it's quite high up, so you can see, the road very, very well. The seats are very, very comfortable, and this engine is absolutely fantastic. For a 1.2 litre engine, which I was shocked that this had, as I thought it had something much, much bigger. I thought it at least had a 1.6 in there, but it's only got a 1.2. It's really pretty punchy, pretty good for overtaking, and it's very economical as well. So I found that to be an amazing thing. Got these very large wing mirrors, which I'm just going to show you here. So the engine in this is fantastic. The build quality, it all feels pretty sturdy. It's got some soft touch on the interior here. It's all kind of stitched around here. The doors are obviously solid plastic, and these are obviously black piano plastic, which I'm not a massive fan of, but they look okay. And again, down here it's all nicely stitched and nothing moves or rocks. It's all fairly solid. So it's very, very simple layout, which I quite like. But when you look at the rear, so through the rear window, that is pretty much what you see. You can see the visibility is very, very poor. And if someone had that headrest even higher, you wouldn't be able to see hardly anything. So you're always relying on, what you can see, and obviously the sensors. On this car though, it doesn't have any reverse camera. It only has a reverse sensor. So if I just put it into reverse now, and you can see that the sensors come up, and it just gives you a proximity warning. It doesn't really give you anything else. So It is a bit of a downside. It could do with having a camera on here, so if that's an option for this, I would recommend getting a camera, because you can't see anything out that rear window. Okay, so let's put it back into neutral again. So they're the kind of the positives really. On the downside, like I already mentioned, this armrest isn't great. You can't really use that, it's too low down. And what also I found very annoying with this car was that it's got a bunch of sensors that seem to kick in automatically. So on the dash you get some readouts, and one of the things that it does is that it's got a lane assist service on this, which is it's always active when you start the car for the first time, and as soon as you go near a white line it starts to beep, a bit like a cheap digital watch. It just makes this annoying beeping sound, and every time you get in the car you have to switch that off manually, which is a process of holding this button down for about 3 seconds until it lights up, and that's now deactivated. But you have to do that every time you get in the car. If you don't, if you go near a white line, it starts to beep, and it does that because you don't have the indicators on. But what I find is as you're driving around, just casually driving, you're always near some white lines, so the car ends up beeping all the time, which is really, really irritating. So I didn't like that at all. So might not be a big problem for some people. I just find that a bit annoying, because every time you switch the engine off, you have to switch it back off again. That was my only real annoyance really, was the armrest and that beeping that kept happening every time I switched the car on. Other than that, this is a really, really good car for just cruising around in. It's not particularly sporty as such. I said the engine is very good, very, very punchy, and you know, you're going to get a really good fuel economy, and it also picks up fairly quickly. I think 0 to 60 is about 11 seconds, so it's not incredibly fast, but for a car this big, it feels quite punchy. It's got a fairly decent engine note to it as well. What I'll do is just wind the window down now so you can kind of hear the engine sound. So hopefully you could hear that, but it doesn't sound too bad really for an engine this size. Got automatic lights as well, so lots of automatic functions on here, which is really good. So you don't have to really do much. You simply stick it in to drive and start, press the accelerator, and you're ready to go. So it's a nice easy car to drive, very, very comfortable for long journeys, and it's quite nippy, and the steering is very easy, and it's, you know, quite good from that point of view. Just the downsides are some of the visibility options isn't great, and some of the other features on this car in terms of, you know, the specification again is pretty good for what you get, and the quality is pretty good as well. But I hope you found that useful. As I said, any comments you've got, put it in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. But other than that, I'll catch you soon.